Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and today we're back with another tier list video. This is the first part to a weapon tier list series that I'll be making. I'll put links to the rest of the tier list videos in the pinned comment below. Weapons start with B tier, where plenty of lower rarity alternatives exist, and go all the way up to double S tier, where I factor in versatility, investment value, and a number of best in slot options. We don't waste time on this channel, and let's jump straight into number 1. Primordial Jade Cutter is basically like a pair of clean white sneakers. You can use it on almost every single occasion, and while it won't be the best, it definitely doesn't fall too far off. Almost every character in Genshin can use this weapon, with the only two exceptions being albedo and ayaka. Even so, if you didn't play Genshin while the Cinnabar Spindle event was around, Jade Cutter would definitely be on best in slot, but Harbinger of Dawn doesn't fall too far behind it. Why ayaka is conditional? Is because she's usually played in freeze, and a combination of 4-piece Blizzard Strayer and Cryo Resonance already gives a good amount of crit rate, and with the Jade Cutter often leads to overcapping crit rate past 100%. Still, it's a decent weapon and could be even insane if you somehow have a lot of crit damage rolls in artifact substats. And in case some of you might be wondering, then in this case, why is kaeya green boxed? It's because kaeya can be played in a reverse melt comp, and the low base attack of Jade Cutter is usually offset with bennett. One thing I want to point out with xingqiu is that Jade Cutter is actually the premier weapon for him, with a 4-piece emblem built for very high levels of energy recharge. But of course, most people don't have a spare Jade Cutter lying around, and Sacrificial Sword actually will do. Genshin meta is still by and large a crit focused one, and my double S tier rating reflects both meta performance and versatility. I need to talk about my rating on Haran immediately after Jade Cutter because it sets a proper context to compare. If Jade Cutter was a sneaker, Haran would be a pair of Air Jordans. Comfy and able to fit certain looks much better than Jade Cutter, but ultimately is much more niche in terms of the number of versatile looks you can pull off. Haran trades crit rate for higher base attack, elemental damage, and normal attack bonuses on characters like Ayaka and Kaeya, who couldn't use Jade Cutter as well because of the overstacking of crit. Haran significantly will outperform Jade Cutter, but lesser crit rate doesn't eliminate the issue altogether, and hence still an orange box for Ayaka. And on the vast majority of characters who simply do not have a need for normal attacks, the 11% multiplicative crit rate is a much more desirable step, making it inherently outperform in certain characters that take up more field time, like ayato, main DPS qiqi, or even kaeya. For the reasons why Jade Cutter is good, Haran likely will be good for the rest as well. But the loss of crit rate for a normal attack focus means inherently this weapon will be used less on supports versus Jade Cutter, making it S tier for me. Personally a great weapon that will add value to any account, but the universal Jade Cutter sets the bar too high. Giga Chat Bunny Slippers. Cozy and comfy, but you won't tell your friends you spent $100 to get one. The best part about Summit Shaper is its huge attack stat, and generally is usable by most attack scaling characters because of its 5-star stats. For the current roster, where most sword users scale with attack, this weapon is really comfy to use as a stat balancer and will work well on characters that rely on shields and attack. The characters boxed in green generally work well with this weapon if you don't have a better alternative. I also grade out the likes of xingqiu, albedo, kazuha, and qiqi since several 4-star options are competitive and may be arguably better for their main roles. For the most part, Jade Cutter as a limited 5-star weapon likely is much more in terms of overall value it brings to your account. Overall, A tier for me. Not sure if anyone will actively want to pull this weapon, since its design also leaves much to be desired. Freedom Sworn is like a pair of waterproof tactical boots. Not many professions need it, but those that do will swear by it. For now, Kazuha and generally the Anemo units are best able to make use of this weapon, and outside of them lies a more niche and unorthodox build. Jin uses this weapon well, which is usually played in a Sunfire team with bennett. Anemo Traveler also uses it pretty well too. If we have a character in future that scales with EM and is generally played as a support, they will likely be able to make use of this weapon too. In general, EM builds generally have good potential to grow, with Dendro about to be added into the game. And out of all the swords on this list, I think Freedom Sworn has the highest potential to grow with time. The first split rating on this list for Kazuha Havers, this weapon is S tier. But without him, for now, in my opinion, this weapon will be A tier. My analogy for Aquila Favonia is like a pair of winter boots. It's the best you've got for a cold winter, but sadly, Genshin was never in a physical winter meta. Aquila Favonia's 674 base attack at level 90 is the highest of all swords, and characters like Bennett use it really well to transfer attack with his Q. Of course, that means energy recharge needs to come from his artifacts. And if you're playing a physical DPS like kaeya, qiqi, keqing, or Jin, this weapon is probably one of the best for them as well, given that it's the only physical damage bonus 5-star sword. High base attack weapons scale the best with attack percentage bonuses from artifacts and other transferable attack buffs, making Aquila Favonia one of the best stat sticks for attack percentage. A decent universal weapon for main DPS MC2 if you just want the stat stick that Aquila Favonia offers. For the rest, much is left to be desired since Kazuha prefers EM found in 4-star alternatives, or crit if you're going for crit Kazuha. Albedo doesn't scale well with attack, and xingqiu has better 4-star alternatives. Ayato and ayaka generally need energy recharge much more than physical damage in the substat. Of course, a high base attack is never completely useless for a damage dealing carry. Overall, still one of the best for a physical sword user and a great stat stick otherwise. But a combination of physical being kinda meh and many competitive 4-star options exist, I'll rank Aquila Favonia as A tier. Skyward Blade is like a pair of rollerblades. They get you to the 100% energy destination much quicker and are aimed at a specific purpose. Of course, alternatives do exist, like if you had a pair of huge thighs, you possibly could outrun me on rollerblades. But for the most part, most people skip legs day and have dogshit artifacts. So let's break down this analysis for a regular player. Keqing and Albedo, both being 40 energy burst cost characters, generally don't have major energy issues, and Skyward Blade is definitely inefficient. Kazuha much would rather Iron Sting as a craftable 4-star alternative, and Electro MC is able to use this weapon as a decent stat stick overall, but can't really utilize its passives well. Kaeya is also able to use it decently well, especially as a stat balancer for teams which don't provide him with enough energy recharge. Ayaka actually can use the Skyward Blade decently well since she struggles with getting her burst back, and many attack buffs synergize well with Skyward Blade's lack of attack substat. She's also able to use most of his passive quite well too. Ayato similarly uses Skyward Blade very well given that he utilizes all of its substats and can be ran together with a 4-piece emblem set. Similar to Ayato, xingqiu also uses this weapon fairly well, especially at C6 when he gets more damage from his burst, and you would run a 4-piece emblem set. Qiqi, Jin and Bennett all use the ER well and benefit from a good 5-star base attack as well, although the craftable Aminoma Blade works pretty well too. Overall, a great support weapon that does fairly well because of its 5-star stats, and I'm torn between A and S tier. But I'll place this in A tier since comparatively the weapons in S tier of this list are much stronger. Using the shoe analogy, if Jade Cutter was a sneaker, Mistsplitter would be a pair of black Oxfords. You trade versatility for a killer look that leaves an impression. Albedo aside, all characters are able to use this weapon, but with varying degrees of effectiveness. It is best in slot for Electro Keqing and Ayaka, arguably being both their signature weapons, and also Bennett and kaeya. The 674 base attack is the max of a sword currently, and Bennett's additional energy recharge is attainable in substats. Kaeya in freeze uses crit damage stat much better than the other two crit rate swords. In a full EM build, which is arguably pre-C6 Kazuha's best build, Mistsplitter comes close to the free-to-play craftable Iron Sting, but lags behind Jade Cutter. And in a non-EM Kazuha build, Mistsplitter likely competes on par with Jade Cutter depending on your artifact substats. Qiqi would prefer the Jade Cutter in a crit build and Aquila Favonia in a physical build, but arguably, Sexwap might feel more comfortable overall for an Ocean Hued Clam Qiqi build. Overall, still a good option for her given its 5-star solid stats. The remaining characters might have better best in slots for them, but all can use Mistsplitter well to varying degrees and definitely gives great screenshot damage. I'll rank Mistsplitter as double S tier for its superiority in many situations while being still competitive to Jade Cutter. And the most important thing to note is that if you look at sword users we have currently, almost all of them scale with attack. Taking that into account, Jade Cutter still offers higher investment value out of the two if any new character comes out that doesn't scale off attack, and I'll rank Mistsplitter behind Jade Cutter for this very reason. If you guys found this video helpful, you might like to watch my other tier list videos right here. See you in the next video.